In this video, I'm going to show you a really cool plugin, a utility plugin that is great for editing your vocals and doing all the prep work you need to do on your vocals before you start mixing. And it also works on instrument tracks as well. So if you want to learn how to speed up your workflow and your setup for getting your vocals dialed in and getting everything taken care of before we start mixing, getting them edited, as well as some of your instrument tracks that might be overly dynamic, that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So stick around. Now this plugin is really cool. This is not a sponsored video in any way. I paid for this with my own money. This is a plugin called Dynassist, I believe is how you spell it. It's by the company Noiseworks. I'm gonna leave the link in the description box so you can go check it out. But what this plugin does is it allows us, it's really made for vocals, but we'll demonstrate it on some instruments as well, where you can do all your prep work on your vocal track before you start getting into mixing, where you're going through and you're doing some gain rides if things are overly dynamic to kind of level out the gain, getting rid of your S's and your breaths and all of that stuff. This will take care of it all in one plugin. So let's jump into Studio One here and let me show you this quickly so you can check this out and then go click the link in the description box below. So here we are on a vocal track that I got soloed up here. Let's just listen to this quickly. Pay attention really to the S's and some of the dynamics here. As we zoom in, you can see that the track, it's got, it's not terrible, but it's, great singer, did a really good job singing here and trying to work the microphone well, but we still have it where it's pretty dynamic and there's a few S problems in here. Take a listen.
And this time last year, we were looking up, but we were grasping at straws, so hopefully for the last time this year, I'll be asked to stop by total strangers at a party who think I'm too drunk to have this conversation.
Okay, so not only is it a little overly dynamic, but there's a lot of S's in there. Not so much breaths, but there's a lot of S's in there. So normally what would you do before I would even start mixing? We'd be soloing up the vocal track. I'd be going through, we do our manual de-essing. I've done videos on the channel on how to do that. I'd be going through and doing some clip gain to kind of level things out a little bit before I start hitting my first stage of the compression. If there were any breaths or lip smacks or any noise between the lines, let's say headphone bleed and those types of things where he's between phrases. Again, we don't have that here, but that's always a very big problem. And going through an entire vocal performance could take a long time, depending on how bad the track really is. And that doesn't include all the background vocals. So on a track like this, where I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different vocal tracks, when you would consider lead vocals, background vocals, harmonies, and such, if you have to manually edit all this stuff, it takes a long time. This is really going to help you. This is a wonderful, wonderful tool here. So how do we use it? Now, this is an ARA plugin with Studio One, and I believe it works with Pro Tools, Cubase, and other DAWs, where we're going to highlight the event we want to work on here, which is our vocal track in red. I'm going to right-click here. In Studio One, this is how you add an ARA effect, but in other DAWs, it'll be slightly different, but you can look that up. We're going to go to Event Effect, and we're going to come down here to Dynassist. And what this is going to do is this is automatically going to read the entire vocal track. Watch. Does it pretty quickly there. It read the entire track, not just that one loop but the entire vocal track. And what does it do here? Okay. So we have a couple of different modes it looks like here. We have a vocal mode and we have an instrument mode. We're going to keep it on vocal for now. And what this does, and again, as you hover over things little boxes will pop up here, little tool tips, but we have a vocal writer, we have a vocal gate, we have a breath detector, and we have a sibilance de-essing, all done for you. We have a target loudness here, which defaults to -24 LUFS, but you can just left click and you can drag this. And if I drag this up, let's say to like -18 or 19, it'll recalibrate. And I can zoom in here with my mouse and you'll see here, if we start at the beginning of the phrase here, right here, you'll see that it goes through. We're on the vocal ride tab. It'll automatically do all my vocal rides. How cool is that? How cool is that? And then it'll go through and it will, if there's any gaining that needs to be done, it'll do that. If you come over here to click on the breaths, you'll see that there's not a lot of breath problems here. Nothing is highlighted here, but let's go to sibilance. See all these gray or these lighter color areas? This is where all the sibilance is. And you can see as I zoom in here, you can see where they've lowered all the S's. See that? It would do the same thing on the breaths if there was breaths. It would light up like a off-white color and you would see that it would duck down all the breaths. But again, this performance was done really well. So we don't have any breaths problems. But we have a sibilance problem. Here we go. Take a look at that. And we have a vocal ride here as well. So you can see all this right here. So let's raise it up a little bit just to show you the dynamics here and how it happens. And then where there's louder parts, it will pull it down here in red. So let's just take a listen and see what it did here.
And this time last year, we were looking up, but we were grasping at straws, so hopefully for the last time this year, I'll be asked to stop by total strangers at a party who think I'm too drunk to have this conversation.
And what's great about this as well, and I found that its default setting, it usually does a really good job. But let's say for whatever reason, your target loudness is such where you want to do some manual editing as well. You can do that. If you come over here, where is it, to the edit button right down here, to the pencil tool here, we can zoom in here. Let's say, and I don't know, let's say this point, right? Let's take a real loud one here, or a quiet one here where they kind of dip down a little bit here and we wanted to raise it up. All I got to do is left click on the node and then we could just take it and we can drag it up. Look at that. Hello friend, I hope you're enjoying the video. Hey, if you're serious about becoming a better mixer, then check out the mixingacademy.net. Every month you'll get a brand new set of multi-tracks and mix along with me step by step and learn the why behind every mix decision. You'll also connect with other mixers, join me for live coaching calls, and I'll personally give you feedback on your mixes each month. Click the link in the description below and check out the mixingacademy.net. Now back to the video. Really cool. So let's say, okay, they pulled it down a little too much, or maybe it didn't pull it down enough. We can pull it down and we could go in and we can manually edit anything that we didn't like that was done here. I'll be honest though, for the most part, it gets it pretty spot on. Now this is, and then when you're done, you just X out here and we're back here again. This is something that I would do before I would hit the first stage of compression, right? If something is super dynamic, I'm gonna get in there, I'm gonna get my vocal rides in there, I'm gonna try to even out that performance before I hit my compressor. This will also help me towards the end of the mix with automation. It doesn't really take the automation piece out of it towards the end of the mix, but it gets you at a nice, easy foundation. To go through in just this 2 or 3 phrases here, to go through and to manually do everything that this plugin did in 10 seconds could take 20 minutes, right? Which is really great. Now, also pay attention to the sibilance here. If I turn off the sibilance section, let's listen to it without the sibilance, and then I'll turn the sibilance on and see how it did with the S's.
And this time last year, we were looking up, but we were grasping at straws, so hopefully for the last time this year, I'll be asked to stop.
Okay, there's about 5 S's in that couple of lines that he performed here. Let's turn it on again. It's going to think about things again. And if I go over to the sibilance tab, you'll see where all the S's are and you'll see how it ducked down.
And this time last year, we were looking up, but we were grasping at straws, so hopefully for the last time this year, I'll be asked to stop.
I mean, that's brilliant. To have to go through and manually de-ess all of that, and I've done that on this channel before. You can go watch the archives and check that out. This thing saves a ton of time. Now, let's say again, for some reason we went, okay, there was one S that wasn't pulled down enough. We can zoom in here with our mouse. Let's say this one here. Let's say this one right here wasn't pulled down enough. I can just hit edit. Oh, do I have to go in and... Okay, I got to go in, and I could go in here and I can click these nodes and I can say, okay, that S wasn't pulled down enough. Let's pull that down a little bit further. I can X out there, and now we've pulled that down a little bit further, which is brilliant. Really, really great. Saves, if you just used it for this alone, it's worth it. Now, I know there's some more features in this. I even have some presets and stuff. Again, I haven't really experimented with that. You want to know why? Because for the most part, I throw it on its default setting. I do a couple of minor tweaks, and the tracks that I've used this on, about 3 or 4 mixes now, it just works perfectly. But there are some presets in here that you can do for like podcasting, you know, if you need to get to target LUFs for different streaming platforms. All of that is right here. You can check those out, which is pretty cool. Let's see here, podcast vocal, broadcast vocal, quiet vocal, breath control. And so there's a couple of presets that you can check out. But not only can you do this, And when you have this, you can just leave it on your track, and then during the course of the mix, if you want to go in and adjust, you can. The other thing you can do here in Studio One is if once you have gone through and treated all your vocal, if you want to pull it off and you want to render it, you just hit this little render button, and that will render it down. All the changes will be baked into your track, and then it'll remove Dynassist from the track. I kind of leave it on in case I want to go back and tweak it later, but that's what you can do. Let's try this also on something like a bass guitar. So here's a bass DI track where, again, you can see, you know, there's quite a bit of dynamics going on there, like you can see, as you would expect. Let's check this out here for sure. We have a note here that trails off at the end. So let's right click on this. Let's go to Event Effects, Dynassist, and let's put it in instrument mode here. So we're going to go over to here, and we're going to make it instruments. And now on instrument, you only have ride and a gate. And you can look at them both too here. And you can also adjust the speed and the smoothness. You can adjust this stuff as well. Again, so now we have a target loudness. It always seems to default to -24, which is totally fine. Let's raise that up a little bit just to see what it does. So it's going to raise it quite a bit here. And let's play back this bass part and let's see what it does here. Here's our gating. So our gating is going to be in red here. Let's just see what it does. So I kind of zoom in here and spread out the points a little bit so we can see the nodes. Let's see what it does here. What I really like is you can see that last note at the end of the phrase. It rides it up. So you hear the whole note, you hear the sustain. That happens a lot too, right? It happens with guitar tracks as well, where you have that last note that kind of sustains on the bass, and sometimes you kind of lose it and you want to raise it up. You have to manually go in there and do that. Now, a compressor will do that to some degree, yes, but depending on how dynamic it is, this again kind of sets that foundation. If I bypass it and we just listen to that, let's listen to that part again without Dynassist. So you lose that last note. And there's a couple of notes here where it kind of pokes out a little too much. So let's turn it back on again. And again, we can go in and we can adjust this if we wanted to. We can go in and edit this just by hitting the edit button. But this thing is great. I love this. So you can see where it brings all these notes that are below the threshold and it pulls them up. So it's like doing an automatic little vocal ride there, which is kind of cool. Really, really cool plugin. Again, I've only used this on a few mixes and I've used it primarily on vocals. And the last mix I did use it on bass guitar, and I also used it on snare, which I thought was pretty cool, which I can show you quickly here. I have a section here that I kind of made for this demonstration here in orange, where you can see the snare. I've kind of purposely made it a little, some quiet hits, some extra loud hits to see how it would do. Let's check out how this will do. So we can, again, we can just right click on this, go to Event Effect, Dynassist. We'll put it on instrument again. And here we are. Right here, and you can see, let's just change the target loudness. Let's raise it up a little bit. Give us a few more. Now, this is kind of weird because the gate, let's turn off the gate here. The gate kind of acts weird with the snare. I got to play a little bit more with that, but look, here we go with the snare. Let's just listen. Let's first listen to this section of snare without the Dynassist. Okay, so I purposely, lowered some of those hits and raised some of those hits to see how it would do. So let's turn on Dynassist here, and let's listen to that again. And let's hear where some of the quiet parts got a little louder, hopefully, and it kind of made it a little bit more even. So even on this one, it's still a little bit too loud there. We could go in again, we can edit that. Let's just edit that. Can we edit it right in place there? Where's our, see, the thing is, it doesn't put you, I don't believe it puts you right where, oh, there it is. It's right there. So yeah, we could take this point and let's say that's still, it's too loud. Let's just turn it down. And again, we have a threshold and a smooth. We can avoid clipping here. There's all kinds of little controls here. I just leave it at its default. It seems to work. But as you roll your mouse over it, it'll tell you what to do. It smooths out the loudness changes and applied by the rider. Higher, smoother values allows you to lower the rider's speed. Okay. Really, really cool. The ability to go in and take overly dynamic tracks that you want to kind of set the foundation and kind of level off a little bit before you start mixing. Great for editing vocals, great for getting rid of sibilance and breaths, getting rid of, noise between, headphone bleed and all that kind of stuff, amp noise for electric guitars, those kinds of things. This is a really, really cool plugin, saving me a ton of time during my session prep. Go check out Dynassist. Tell them that Uncle Dave sent you. Okay, so thanks for sticking around till the end of the video. I want to give you something for free. If you're into mixing like we are here, I want to give you a free mixing course, a 90-minute mixing course. It's right on my homepage. Link will be in the description box below at Home Recording Made Easy. Click the button, download the free course today, and check it out. And if you dig my style of teaching and you want to learn more about recording, mixing, and mastering, I have a full online school at homerecordingmadeeasy.com, a bunch of courses that you can check out, and I want to give you a 25% discount coupon code. Just use the coupon code YouTube25 at checkout. That'll take 25% off any training course on the website. So until the next video where we take a look at some more cool plugins to help you speed up your workflow and get you better at the craft of mixing, I've been Dave with homerecordingmadeeasy.com. Thank you so much for watching me, everybody, and I'll see you guys in the next video.